Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jurgen Fuykschot. I'm a principal consultant in mining in SRK Consulting UK, located in Cardiff. I hope you're all well in these bizarre times. Today, I would like to talk about remote mining assistance, which is basically off-site support for those people working on-site. And why do I come up with a phrase like that, and what do I aim to achieve with it? Basically, there are a few aspects. In general, it's difficult to recruit professional personnel, and the services of highly experienced personnel in specific disciplines are not always required full-time. So in short, you want to get the right people in the right place at the right time, but not before and not after. Recently, we've had experienced travel restrictions, which also required people suddenly to work with data far away over the cloud and all things like that. Things have changed. There will be a new normal. It's not meant as an ad hoc solution for these times, but we see that the way mining professionals are working is going to change. So in short, the definition is the use of off-site personnel to assist the on-site personnel with operational review and advice, whether it be designs, schedules, troubleshooting, training, but also data gathering and inspections, which typically are very much site visits. This can be done internally within a company or externally using external consultants and contractors. And the main requirement, which is kind of visualized in the pictures on the right, is the transition from having all the information local on site, on the server, to cloud-based data where everybody can access it. In short, a digital transformation. So here's a quick picture from Deloitte. The green highlighted boxes are the main areas I would focus on. So digital and mining information, the sensors which are capturing data, drones, which are very useful for site surveillance and inspections. And you want to get people on the floor to be able to use their mobile devices to get all that information, to enter it and to retrieve it. And ideally, we would build a digital twin of the on-site operations to be able to access anywhere in the world. Very quickly here, as I said, you want to go from a local server to a cloud computing, cloud platforms, and one of the abbreviations for that is platform as a service. It's not just the data, it's they're the programs, the design programs, the evaluations, etc. So, which means that it's a totally different concept. So what are the advantages? If you have a platform and you got your data in the cloud, what are the advantages that you can achieve? Well, if people can work this way, there's far less travel required, right? Which is sustainable, less CO2 and all the other stuff like that. It's more secure. There are places in the world where it's hard to find people for and they're not safe. And the other thing is less personnel on site will increase your safety levels. And as I said, get the right people. If you can use your specialist when you require them, and you only use them for that specific purpose, you will save money. The offsite personnel will see more mines. There's a cross-fermentation effect where, because they've encountered this problem on a different mine, they can apply it to your mine and find a solution for it. The other thing is that if you are a mining company with multiple sites, you can use your personnel for the different sites, not just the sites they are working on. There's flexibility, and flexibility for the professionals as well, because when you're stuck on a certain flying flood roster, you miss certain things, you miss family things. Even when you work in the office, it's nice if you can just avoid the traffic jam and continue your work at home. So basically, it will be an increase in productivity. Process can be more continuous. as I said, reduction of interruptions. And when you're a multi-zone, multi-time zone company, you can actually use the time zones to your advantage. Somebody goes to bed on the other side of the world, they can work on the design, and in the morning you get that. Some software companies will allow you to share your software, but within a company, and that way you can actually use less software licenses. And the other thing is that with the proper platforms, you can determine who has data access to which data, can modify it, can view it, and that way you manage your data. But the first, you need to get your data in digital form. Get everything in digital form, and that will, there are sites which already have that. Most geological and mining information is in digital form. But you will find that there's a lot of the information is still in the mind of the people on site. So what you need to do is mind mining. Get this information on what decisions have been taken when, get that associated with the design. Then in 2 or 3 years' time, when somebody else looks at it and why did you do this? Well, here's the decision we've taken then. Have circumstances changed? Yes, maybe the decision needs to be changed. And a nice phrase is the end-to-end digital connectivity by Jovia, is where you would basically put everything in digital form. You split it up in 3 areas. The capital, so to get all the equipment and machines that are required. The resources, so basically all the geology, and your day-to-day operations. There is no one solution fits all. Right? A large mining company will use a different platform at a different level than a small single mine. But I think that any mine can use this kind of approach to increase productivity and communication levels. And here are the reasons why these things are possible now. Why is it suddenly possible to share information at this level? Computer power has increased. Everybody knows that the internet, not just in cities, increased. In the last 10, 15 years, it's gone from satellite telephone only to full-blown 4G on-site connectivity. There are different cloud data storage platforms available. You get the general ones like Google, Dropbox, etc. People are used to that. Teams is another one. And then there are the dedicated mining platforms. Jovia 3D Experience, Deswik MDM, Sequent, ArcGIS, each with their own capabilities, purposes, and restrictions. The other thing which has vastly improved are the eyes on the ground. The utilization of drones has increased, combination with LiDAR for surface and underground scanning, the action cameras, which now even feature compasses, GPS, so you can actually have a movie which shows where you are, what direction you're looking. So you get that immediate connection of site inspection with the location where it's happened. And even simple webcams can show you what is happening in mine on the other side of the world. So it's wonderful to have then everything in the cloud. Everything's working fine, and then something comes around like COVID or another interruption. Have a fallback available. The reason why I showed you Curiosity Mars rover, because this Mars rover was being controlled by people with special active 3D glasses. Of course, when everybody got sent home, they couldn't take the big, bulky game computers with them. So they went back to the red and blue 80s kind of 3D glasses. And they managed to finalize their drill program on Mars. So the system chosen will depend on the company, the number of mines managed, the the experience of the personnel, the level of technology available on-site, off-site, communication methods. If you want to have continuous, no-lag processes, you will require faster communication and higher processing speeds. Here are some of the possible issues. Unless you use dedicated platforms, there's a chance of fragmentation and duplication of data. You might have 3 different block models and not knowing which is the right block model. What is the latest design? And unless you choose a dedicated platform, you will have to be very strict in your procedures. There are geographical constraints. Certain video calling software cannot be used from certain countries. So determine first which countries you will have to communicate with, and then see which softwares you can use. Certain data cannot cross the boundaries. Right? I've had projects where I wasn't allowed to look at the data outside that country. That needs to be respected, and that will limit the usability of global platforms. Data security, you probably all heard of the gold mining company which had its computers hacked. Keep the mining data separate from all the other company data. Don't have the same logins. The other issue you might have is proprietary formats. If you work within one company, you'll probably have the same format. If you work with different people, contractors, consultants, they might use different software, but they will have to adjust to yours. But it will take time, and there's a risk of inaccuracies and additional cost for conversion into different software. There can be an overload of data. What do we keep? I think that the data that you base your decisions on is the data that really needs to be kept. And the other thing, which especially now has happened with people working from home, the work-life boundary is dissolving, which can be a good thing. It allows more flexibility, but there are a lot of ways of people being contacted. I counted about 14 different ways I'm talking with my clients at the moment. And different people will have different levels that they're comfortable with. Right. I would like to give an example of using a platform where data has been entered and which then is available to everybody. SRK South Africa has been doing tails dam surveillance, looking at the water levels, piezometers, and they said, well, what do we want from a monitoring system? It's got to be consistent, centralized and organized, easy accessible, intelligent and practical. So basically, then the question was, which platform do we use? And ArcGIS is one of the platforms that allows multiple layers and to have the combination of the design with the field data over time, allowed a kind of dashboard that can be accessed from anywhere in the world, which allowed a lot of benefits on the bottom left-hand corner. And what can be done then is go a step further, see what other data can we put in that platform. On the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that what information can be put in the server. Now you can use your standard survey equipment. You can use satellite imagery. Drones are very useful, and even just mobile phones with geotagged videos can all be gathered there. And then what you can get then is a complete picture over time of what's happening with the tail storage facility. But in the same way, that can be used for an open pit as well. What can be done then as well is to use real life data. So you can have the history, you can have the present time, and then by putting in the designs and schedules as well, you can see what the future is going to be. Another example of cloud-based inspection is the Whole Road Explorer of MTS. SRK is working agreement with MTS, has done several projects together. And basically, what happens is that a truck drives, a mobile phone logs the speed because it's got all the sensors on board. That goes into a central database. This data then gets compared with the design speed for that pit and visualized. If there are areas where it was obvious that a truck slows down, like on the right-hand corner in the picture here, where you can see that it's quite wet and the truck has to slow down, then you can work on those areas because they're visualized and you can pinpoint them exactly. So you can say, well, okay, what needs to be done here? Do we need extra drains? Do we need extra backfill? Just to make sure that the roads are smoother, traffic signs are in place, so trucks can operate faster. So shorter cycle times, less trucks required. And what can be done then as well, it's not just the mobile phones on board of the trucks. If a supervisor goes down a ramp, he or she can then also have a mobile phone and do paperless inspections. Know where that muddy puddle was, check the muddy puddle and see if it's been solved yet. All that then gets put into the database, not as loose files somewhere on somebody's telephone or shift reports and paper. It's all there whenever anybody needs it. So I hope this kind of gives a very brief overview of the way assistance can be offered. And it's not just from consultants, it's within the company as well, but there's a lot of thinking that is required, systems that are required. So in that way, hopefully we can combine working from home, working at the office, working at the mine, and do our job the best way we can. Thank you.